In Singapore, most things move fast. But there are still places where the pace is different, where things are made slowly, carefully, intentionally, one at a time. In a quiet corner of Jalan Besar, there's a workshop where wood is still shaped by hand. It feels both old and new. It began as a small carpentry business run by Roger, specializing in system furniture for homes and offices.
I've always been at my dad's office since I was maybe about 5-6 years old.
If you want to truly use it, and for it to have structural integrity, it has to have a minimum thickness.
Ryan grew up in the workshop, learning the trade by watching his father work. When Roger passed away in 2014, his sons took over. They gave the business a new name, Roger&Sons. A nod to where it started and a quiet signal that things were about to change. Today, Ryan continues to build furniture, but with a different focus. Each piece is bespoke, crafted from trees that once stood in Singapore's parks and streets.
We have made maybe about 90% of our items in the local tree material. First, we have the kaya, then we have the rain tree, and we have angsana.
Each wood type has its role. Kaya for the outdoors, resilient against the weather. Angsana for the indoors, naturally termite resistant. Once chosen, the process begins. Cutting, gluing, sanding, finishing. Every step is methodical.
We'll make sure that the materials is straight and square, that it's all right angle. Once the planks are usable, we'll cut them up to the size that we need. If we need to glue them up, we'll glue them up. After we glue them up, we will assemble. What happens next is that we'll do a sand, just to make sure everything is pretty. Finishing process for us, we will use food grade finish. Because a lot of times, the things that we make is tables that comes into contact with food.
The final touch is in the details, the unseen elements that hold a piece together.
We make sure that everything is as perfect as it can be, right down to even the type of screws that we use, the type of joinery that we use, and deliver the level of professionalism or the level of scrutiny that we put into our work.
Just like the trees they reclaim, Roger's sons have reshaped the business. From system furniture to custom builds, still crafted, still personal. Not all workshops are tucked away. In the heart of Raffles City Mall, a different kind of craft is unfolding. One that keeps a family legacy alive.
My grandfather started Singapore's first bookbindery in Mohammed Sultan Road, and that was in the 1940s, physically sewing books by hand.
In 2014, Winnie and her husband James opened this studio, reviving her family's craft in a new way.
I think the four is it a bit too far apart? Our master craftsman is 80 and he's still working with us.
Bookbinding looks simple, just stitching pages into a cover. But it's methodical work, slow, repetitive, and precise.
Basic bookbinding includes understanding the paper direction, which direction to fold, aligning the papers, punching holes, using bookbinding thread to sew the book. And this?
The challenge is always the balance between preserving tradition and embracing change.
I think design is very important because it helps us to continue to innovate, to come up with fresh ideas, and to make the products meaningful for our customers. So we need to think about what customers need.
One way that idea takes shape is through letterpress, one of the oldest printing techniques still in use today.
The letterpress hot stamping machine, it takes time to actually learn what is the temperature setting that is suitable for the different materials and how do you put the spaces so that the actual final product comes out beautifully aligned with the correct spaces.
Over time, James and Winnie have shaped Bynd Artisan into a place where traditional skills are applied with care, and each piece is made with purpose.
I think we used to start off and say we are just leather and paper gifts, but today we are actually creating experiences and delivering emotions. To be able to bring that joy and emotion to people and to experience people's joy when they open their gifts has really fueled me and my team to continue to come up with innovative concepts for Bynd Artisan.
In this studio, the pace slows again, but the material is different. The touch, more fluid. Tucked away in an industrial estate along Outram Road, this is where clay is shaped, glazed, and transformed by fire.
Singapore used to be a hub for ceramics production. We used to have many dragon kilns back then. We would be producing flower pots, crockery, and they would be sent to places like Japan even, Australia, Vietnam.
In 2011, Michelle learned that the last surviving dragon kilns were at risk. She organized a clay festival to raise awareness and met fellow potter Siok Ha, who shared the same desire to keep the craft alive.
Wow, this one.
They noticed something was missing. Singapore's ceramics legacy remained, but the work of local potters was barely visible.
Our dogged mission is to fill all restaurants and kitchens, homes with handmade ceramics from Singapore by Singaporeans. I think it's a wonderful thing to walk into a restaurant, right, and it still gives me goosebumps. And then you see the tables and they are all locally made ceramics.
Before any piece ends up on a dining table, it starts here, with clay.
We have to prepare the clay first by wedging it. So wedging is a bit like kneading, except that unlike bread, you don't want air inside. So you're kneading to remove all the air bubbles.
Then comes throwing, shaping the clay on a spinning wheel. Once shaped, it's left to dry. Then trimmed and dried again until the clay is bone dry and ready for the kiln. This first firing turns clay into ceramic, but the process is only halfway done. Unlike most studios, Michelle mixes her own glazes, adjusting each for color, texture, and how it reacts in the heat.
A typical recipe will have 3 components. So you have your glass former, your flux, and your stabilizer.
Silica gives the glaze its sheen. Flux lowers the melting point. Stabilizers keep it from slipping off in the heat.
This second firing, called the glaze firing, in our studio we fire quite high, to about 1280 degrees Celsius. At that temperature, the pores would close up, the glaze, the minerals will then melt into glass.
This is the final transformation, where clay, glaze, and fire become one.
I just felt there was this draw to a material so malleable. A lot of the processes in ceramics requires your hands, and I think that's what I really enjoyed. Because with other materials like wood, textiles, glass, metal, you would need tools. With the clay material, there was that immediate touch. You can sculpt it.
Once a year, the studio opens its doors to the public, inviting people into the process.
Thank you, thanks for coming. The build-up to it is always very nerve-wracking because it's a bit like having your exhibition, hundreds and thousands of works that we're waiting to unveil to everyone.
This mug is very special because this is hollow.
But it's not just about being seen. It's about helping others see differently.
So they get to come and see where it's made, the magic, and they'll ask us questions like, I held this cup from this cafe and it didn't feel too hot. Why is it so? How come you designed it this way? And we get to tell them our inspiration, what's behind the story of different designs.
Across paper, wood, and clay, tradition continues through practice, patience, and hands at work. Each stitch, joint, and glazed surface lives on in the objects we hold, often without a second thought.